Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition. I'm really excited to have our guest here today, Kathleen Gage, and we're going to be talking about the Vegan Visibility Summit. If you haven't heard about it, this is your time to act. I'm so excited not only to be a part of it, but also have the opportunity for many of you to meet the visionary behind the summit. This has been just an amazing experience for me to participate, also to promote it, share it with many of you out there, because as vegan entrepreneurs, as business owners, as even potential or future entrepreneurs out there, when we talk about visibility is such an important topic. And it's a thing that can be hard to kind of get your hands around. So, having experts share their experience, share what they've actually done, and to be created by a vegan, done for vegans, have vegan speakers is just amazing. So I really believe for many of you out there that need a little bit of help, need a little bit of support, need some ideas, want to tap into some amazing experts, this summit is for you. But I don't want to keep talking too long because I want to make sure you get to know Kathleen, not only because she started the summit and brought many of us together, but Kathleen has an amazing story. Just the success that Kathleen has been able to tap into is just great. And I'm so excited that she's a part of our vegan business community. And I'm excited that Kathleen is here today. So, Kathleen, welcome. Thank you for joining
It
me.
is, yeah, it's great to be here, Stephanie. And it's like as you were sharing, there were so many ideas that came to me about visibility. And one of the things about the Vegan Visibility Summit is I've been in my business now for going on 28 years. It's like, how did that happen? Well, one day at a time for 28 years. And I've been doing digital marketing for close to 25 years, and I have been a vegan for 3 years. So I'm a baby vegan compared to somebody like yourself. And what I know to be true is there are strategies you can use to immediately put your stake in the ground and gain visibility. And that's what this summit is all about. And I have to tell you, with the summit, even though it's by vegans for vegans, that was the whole thing that came to me. It was like I really wanted to have a summit for vegans. There are people who are not vegans 100%, and yet they are joining in the summit and they're gaining value because the strategies, like in your session, you teach about lives, how to really, and that's exactly what we're doing. And I have to tell you, this is new territory for me with the platform that we're using. And one of the things that I encourage people to look at is, how are you holding yourself back by not trying something new? So with the summit, even though it's by vegans for vegans, a lot of non-vegans are enrolling because the strategies are universal. We've got Facebook Lives, we've got how to do PR, we've got, like with Katrina Fox, her session is off the charts, and yours is off the charts, David Pannel, off the charts. And it's all about how do you gain visibility in front of your niche market and really amplify what you're doing so you can be successful. Because let's admit it, the pandemic has hit us hard, everybody.
Yes.
I don't
Mhm.
think anybody has escaped. And so we put this summit together. A lot of people initially thought, oh, this is how to become a vegan. This is how to eat plant-based. This has nothing to do with your nutrition, although it has everything to do with nutrition. But it's really about marketing and PR. And so that's kind of the premise of the summit. But I've been involved in digital marketing, like I said, for almost 25 years. I'm the author of this particular book, Power Up for Profits, The Smart Woman's
Mhm.
Guide to Online Marketing. We wrote this, or I wrote it, in 2013, and it really has made a difference for a lot of people. So, the thing I encourage people to look at is, what are you doing to amplify your visibility, and what are you doing or not doing that's holding you back?
Yeah. And I think that's the key for many of us. Like you said, it may not be nutrition from the standpoint of, feeding us, technically, but it really is about feeding your business. It's about feeding that dream. It's really about making sure that you have the right fuel behind you so that your business can succeed. Because for many of us, we know what we want to do, but it can be hard to jump out here in this business world. It can be hard to navigate it even as a vegan or even as a non vegan. It's a lot to learn, a lot of tools. And I'm really glad that you also brought up the idea that the summit isn't just exclusively for vegans, because for most of us, I wasn't born a vegan. I wasn't vegan in the beginning. So I want to make sure that anyone who is watching this, we offer some open arms here because for some people, veganism is a journey and maybe you're going to be there a year from now or 2 years from now, or maybe that's where you're headed. But these resources are great. Plus, we can all learn from each other. I think it'd be amazing for many of the speakers that you have at the summit as vegans to be helping businesses out there see what we're doing and learn from us too. So I think that two-way street is a very important point that you made today. And I think that also brings in the strength of the vegan business community and why it's so important that we share all of this information out there.
Absolutely. Well, it's so interesting because the vegan market is actually one of the fastest growing markets right now. And a lot of that does have to do with the pandemic and the fact that more information is readily available and people are looking at their eating habits. And a lot of manufacturing companies are coming on the horizon. And David Pannel, in his session, he talked about companies like Beyond Meat. He said 93% of their customer base are not vegans. And they are just people who want to leave less of a carbon footprint. They're people that are willing to try something that's not animal based for their health, but they don't identify as vegans. So I think the really exciting thing about all of this is if you have a product or service that you want to bring to market, there are strategies that are used in the vegan industry and outside of the vegan industry. Again, they're universal. And quite seriously, one of the best ways to gain visibility is with a summit like this. As I said, I've been vegan for 3 years. I was 64 when I went vegan. And so if you're calculating, yes, I'm 67, soon to be 68, and reversing the aging process, but I'll get off my soapbox with that. But what I realized is that when the pandemic hit, I'm a keynote speaker, so I would travel a lot. And about 80% of my revenue came as a direct result of being on the platform in front of a live audience. So calculate that, 80%, and that's wiped off the face of the earth in my business. And did I panic? Yes, I have to say that I panicked, I cried, I pulled the covers over my head. I said, what have I done wrong? And then I realized it wasn't me. It was what was happening to a lot of people. Now, I had a choice at that point. I could either sit there and say, this isn't fair. Why did this happen to me? Which I did some of that. I will admit I'm human. But then once I gathered myself together and picked myself up, I said, okay, what do I need to do? What strategies can I implement that will turn things around? And so I started rebranding myself. I went from Power Up for Profits to Vegan Visibility. That's now my branding. And I thought, why not use a strategy that I've used with many of my clients? I've helped many clients to really immerse themselves in the market and get visibility very quickly by doing a summit. And so I thought, why not a summit? And I put together my wish list, and you were right at the top of that wish list. Katrina was up there, you were up there, Elysabeth Alfano, David Pannel. I mean, the whole 9 yards, everybody who's in there, I put on a wish list, and I started with what I call the low-hanging fruit. So I went to the person who I knew the best, which was Katrina. And I said, I'm doing this summit. Would you be interested? And she was in 100% right away. Then I went to you. You were in 100% right away. And being a newbie to the vegan market compared to like yourself and Katrina and Elysabeth, y'all have been doing this for well over a decade, some of you more than almost 3 decades. And so I thought, okay, how can I make this work? Within a very short period of time, I went from being, if you will, an unknown in that market to now people are saying, we see you everywhere. Your name is everywhere. How long have you been a vegan? How long have you been marketing in the vegan world? And it's with one powerful strategy. Now, I'm not saying that people should start with a summit right away. I am saying, though, that the summit has resources from all of the experts that will show you how to jumpstart your own visibility. So really what it is when you hit a roadblock in business, you have to look at it and say, am I going to give up? Am I going to throw in the towel? Or am I going to keep going and figure this thing out, step back, get out the whiteboard. I'm a whiteboard kind of person. You should see my whiteboard. It's filled. Your name's all over it. It's like, okay, Stephanie, check.
What an honor.
It's all the different things that we've been doing. But we didn't just do the summit. We've all been marketing it. We've been doing like this. I love this because your session is all about doing lives. And when you said, let's do a live, I'm like, Okay, this is something new to me as far as this platform. I've done lives before, but this platform, and that's the thing I encourage people to look at is what are you doing that's really moving you forward towards your goals, and what are you doing that's holding you back? But the main thing is look at the big why. And in our industry, the big why is pretty easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times with the big why, it's just documenting it. I think for many of us, we let it kind of swirl around in our heads and then we keep rethinking it, rethinking it, and rethinking it. But the idea is get it down on paper, then start executing against it. Start trying things, testing things, and really moving forward because it's nice to have a great vision on the board. But it's even more beautiful. It's so much more rewarding when you start to get out there and talk to customers, talk to people, connect with your community, and really not be afraid that it has to be perfect to make that leap. But know that this is a business that's going to grow and ebb and change. Just like we all grow and change over time, our businesses must mature over time as well. So they have to start out as little itty bitty babies, businesses, and then grow over time and become stronger, more powerful, and more impactful over time.
Well, let me ask you this, Stephanie. Speaking of business growth, if somebody is really looking at pivoting their business and they want some visibility and they want to get in front of their ideal sweet spot clients, what are one or two strategies that you would recommend? Obviously, lives, but what are some other things that people could do that would really help them to amplify their efforts?
I think the first thing is making sure you understand where your customers reside. I think a lot of times we assume our customers are in our same circles we're in. Sometimes we assume our customers are us, and sometimes your customers are not. They may be in a different stage of their business, of their life, of their journey. So, really making sure that you know where they reside. Now, that assumes that you definitely know who your customer is. You've done kind of a persona analysis and you have really good traction on who your customer is. But once you know who your customer is, making sure that you go into the Facebook groups that they're in, join the communities that they're in, because often before you start marketing, before you start promoting, before you start saying, hey, I have something great for you, you want to make sure you understand their needs. You understand what they're looking for. I think a lot of times we think we should know it because we're the business owner. We should have all the answers. And there's so much that can be done around listening. Now, I don't want you to listen forever. I don't want you to be 3 months from now still hanging out and just listening. But I do think taking a week, taking 10 days and making sure before you do your next promotion, before you launch your next product, before you maybe, if you had to do a pivot and you're moving towards a new direction, get a sense of what people are looking for. And then from that, adjust your marketing to address it. So if you're going to do a live, which I think is a great way to answer questions, to support people, do a live based on comments that you've seen in some of these groups. Because then what you can do is you can share this video that you've done live as the answer. You can go back to some of those groups with the permission of the administrator, obviously, and say, hey, I noticed a lot of people have been asking questions about this. I did a live, whether it was an interview, whether it was a live you direct to camera, whether it was a panel discussion, and going back to the administrator and said, hey, I noticed a lot of people are asking questions about this. I interviewed a couple of people about it. Would it be okay if I share this video? Would it be okay if I put this information out there? Because I think when we think about sales, we think about asking for the sale first. And often what we have to do is we have to be seen as a valuable resource for the services that we provide. So making sure that you're getting this habit in place of answering questions, being of service to your community first. And then as people have more questions, want additional support, and being comfortable with saying, hey, this is what I have available for free. These are all the lives I've done. These are my blog posts. But if you need more hand holding, if you need more support, if you want to get one on one support, if you're a coach, if you want to get access to my courses, this is the option. And therefore, you think of sales as a process as opposed to a promotion. I think a lot of times we get a little bit confused on the sales process and think that it's
Right.
just about push it, push it, push it. but it's really a process where people have to become aware of who you are. They have to get comfortable you are and actually turn into leads or people who are really interested in what you're buying. And then they actually have to convert to customers. And that three-step process can sometimes take 6 steps, sometimes take 8 steps. But the idea is you must make room for that process so that you can build trust, but also deliver on that trust and have people who are excited to be your customer, not that you arm wrestled into being your customers.
I'm taking notes as you're talking because you've given so much to unwrap here. This is amazing. The especially about creating value before you ever ask for the sale. And when I used to go out and do speaking engagements, some were paid, and I was definitely a paid keynote speaker. But I also would do self-staged events, like 3-day events. And with my book Power Up for Profits, what we did is we created a 3-day event that the ticket in was the purchase of the book. So we did a book launch and did quite well on that, went to number one on Amazon, did all of that magic stuff, and got the book in a lot of people's hands. And then people would have a ticket into the event. We had a refundable deposit. We had quite a few people there. That one event made over $250,000. And people go, wow, that's a lot of money. Well, they don't look at everything that came before that. And that it was all about building the trust along the way. With the summit, what we've done, we did a lot of podcast episodes. We did mini episodes that have been dropping every single day, and by dropping, going live. We did a lot of social media. We did articles. We did blog posts. I mean, we created a lot of value as a community, and by the community, the Vegan Visibility Summit Experts community. And inside the people that enroll, and right now I do want to remind people, this is the last day to get the 50% off. It's $47 to get 11 modules from all of the experts that we're each sharing anywhere from 30 minutes to about 55 minutes in the modules. Well, most of the experts also gave a bonus gift, and these bonus gifts are off the charts. They're amazing. Well, the whole idea with the bonus gift is to create added value and to continue to build that trust. And I like to be very transparent with people when I share strategies. It's like I'm not, hiding anything and saying, oh, well, it just kind of happened. It's like there are specific strategies to what we all do. And the first strategy is creating that massive value. What can you do to bring value to the market? And it's amazing how a lot of people have lack mentality. They say, why should I give away something for free? Well, you want to give people a taste of what you're doing. It's like when you go to Costco. Now, I don't go to Costco because I always spend way too much. But when you go to Costco and they used to let you before the pandemic sample little cups of food and all that. The whole idea with that is you would try it, you would like it, you would buy it. And it was a point of purchase item in most cases. But even if you didn't buy it right there and then, you remembered it. And the friendlier the person was who was giving you the sample, the more you felt an affinity to this product. So the whole idea, when you have something that people can opt in for. If people go to your website and there's no way for them to get on your database list, you're really missing opportunities because you can engage them in a conversation. So again, I do want to remind people the little ticker. I love this. I'm so excited about this technology because we've got our names up, we've got the little ticker, and I would encourage people to go to go.veganmainstream.com /VVS. That's V as in vegan, V as in visibility, and S as in summit. So go.veganmainstream.com /VVS and check out the summit. And it's 50% off until midnight tonight, and that's midnight Pacific. And you also get a bonus call where many of the experts are going to be on the call, and we're going to be answering questions. So questions you have about visibility, you're going to be able to pick our brains, and that's only for the people who enroll in the summit.
That is perfect. And no matter where you're watching this, there is a link. If you're looking for a link that you can just click on as well, in the description, I nestled a little link in there for you as well, because I do want to encourage people to take that leap, to join this summit, because the information is just amazing. The speakers are amazing. And also, at times when you're trying to do something big in your business, when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to create that sustainability in your business, you really need to kind of surround yourself with not just the ideas, but really specific strategies and tactics that you can leverage. So if you're in that crossroads, if you're still pivoting because of everything that's going on with the pandemic, if you're really at a place where you're like, I'm just not sure what to do next, what I love about summits in general, but really specifically about this summit, is it can help you move forward. It can help you pass those roadblocks and those challenges that sometimes have us sitting on the sidelines. And I don't want any of you to miss your dream, miss your ability to make the impact that you want to make. So I really, really, really hope you take the leap. Now, I know in this session, some of you may be like, can you unpack the summit for me? So, Kathleen, I just want to maybe just break it down for everyone. So, when they go to the site, they sign up. What's the experience? What happens? How does it work?
Well, the first thing is that they'll see a short video from me explaining the summit, and then you'll see each of the experts. There's a short bio for each expert, because truly every single expert that was handpicked for this summit, they have a track record of success. And we can look at Katrina Fox, for example. She's been a journalist for many, many, many years. She has the largest women's international organization for vegan professionals. She's been in business for, I don't even know how many decades she's had her business, but she is teaching people how to do what's called newsjacking. And newsjacking is basically taking stories that are in the news and finding a way to actually match your story with what the story is and reaching out to journalists. She gives you the whole formula. You'll see every expert, you'll see their bios, and then all you need to do is hit the yes, I want in. I think that's what I put on there. Yes, I want in, or yes, I want to gain massive visibility. You click that, you pay your $47, and you have immediate access to 12 sessions. Now, there's 11 experts, but I love sharing information. So I actually have two sessions. One was the master class that we had that is no longer available. A lot of people missed out on that opportunity. And that is actually an added bonus. So you get 12 sessions, including Ginger Burr, who's talking about professional image and how to dress in a way that you're being compassionate in the clothing and the accessories that you choose. And she talks about why image is so important in business, because a lot of people don't think about that. I have to tell you, it's always shocking to me when I see somebody come on to video. Their hair is a mess. They haven't taken time to fix themselves up. They're wearing colors that don't, wash them out. Their image is not a match for the message they're trying to convey. Ginger gets into a lot of detail on that. Then we have John Oberg, who has had hundreds of millions of views on his tweets. He shares how you can actually get a lot of visibility on your tweets and use your tweets as part of your mission and your message. Then we have you, who does a session on Facebook or on lives in general, and obviously Facebook lives. Katrina, newsjacking. Myself, I'm talking about how to use podcast interviews to actually amplify your visibility. Now, the thing about podcast interviews, it's not you starting a podcast, it's you getting on a podcast. And I really dig deep in to find a good match for what your message is. Because, for example, I have two podcast shows. The number one criteria, hands down, no exception, that anybody getting on my show must adhere to is that they are 100% animal and dairy free. No exception. And it's amazing the number of people I have who reach out to me and say, I love your podcast show. I listen all the time. I want to be on your show. And I say, first question is, are you 100% void of animal and dairy? Well, about 95%. It's like, obviously you didn't listen to the show, because it's real clear. And so you want to make sure that when you reach out to a host, you know what the show is about, you've listened to some episodes, and you are a match for their audience, because it's not about how wonderful we are. And I think you'll agree with this, Stephanie. A lot of times people think people want to know all about them. Well, they could care less about us until they know that we have something to offer them that's going to make a
Yes.
difference. So with podcast hosts, they want to know that you're going to really bring value to their audience more than how wonderful you are. Then we have Sam Roblett. Now, this is an amazing session because Sam is an online business manager and she's also a virtual assistant. And I actually use her services. We're working on some projects together. She's phenomenal to work with. And she's based out of the UK. She has a strategy where she teaches entrepreneurs how to organize your day and decide on the tasks you need to delegate and the projects that you need to hold on to and do yourself. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, what they do is they actually think they need to wear all the hats and do all the work. And that's the biggest thing that will hold you back. So
Yeah.
those are just some of the sessions. Then we have Elysabeth Alfano, who is amazing, and she's all about branding, and she teaches people that it's more than just being vegan and plant-based that's going to get you the value, create the value to your market that you need to create. Her session is off the charts. I mean, I have to say, every single session. We have Matali, who talks about getting a book to market and the value. She shared that her clients have made over $5 million from the books that they've written. And she explains, like I did, it's not on the front end, it's what
Yes.
happens on the back end. And this is another thing, Stephanie, I'd love to get your take on this too. A lot of people think if I do A, I should get B. If I do this action, I should get this result. And they look at the short term. They say, oh, I was on a podcast show. I had one woman who said, well, I was on a podcast show and I didn't make any money. And I said, and your point is?
Yeah.
Why should you make money right away? It's about saturating the market with your message, creating value, and doing it for the long term. A lot of people, and I think we're in a instant gratification society where people think if I do something today, I should immediately get a result. And it's about laying the foundation. So what's your take on the whole thing of people thinking, oh, I did one thing and I didn't get the result, so obviously that thing doesn't work, whatever that thing is?
I really think it's about not just consistency, but also remembering what you're asking of your customers. I put this in a lot of people's minds that you're asking your customers to become lifetime customers, purchase from you consistently, support you consistently, show up to your live sessions, listen to your podcast, open your emails. You're asking them to be there with you through the journey of your business. So I think it's only fair for you to think of things as the long term game as well. I think it's important to make sure that what we ask of others to do, what we ask of people to do as far as change, if we ask people to step up and be leaders, we ask people to change the way they maybe have done something in the past to buy our products or services, we have to be willing to do the same. And that means if you want to reach your audience, you have to try different approaches. If you want your audience to be with you for years, then you have to show up consistently for years so that they know at 1 o'clock you go live. So they know that you consistently host a vegan cooking session every Saturday night to support them on their journey. They have to know that you are offering new products or services. And when you offer new products or services, you always give them to your previous customers first as a reward. And if people know that's the way you do it, and you consistently do it, you don't pull the rug out when that didn't work out fast enough or that didn't return the money that I wanted fast enough, then what happens is you're creating this short term relationship with your customers. You're teaching them that you're not going to be with them for the long haul, that you're not going to be with them, and that that you aren't trusting that this is a long-term relationship. So I bring that up, and I know that may sound very soft and it may sound a little bit abstract for some people, but I want to make sure that when you're thinking about employing a marketing tactic, when you're thinking about moving forward with something to support your community, that you understand that community support is community support, marketing is marketing. Both of them must exist, and that community support is something that you should do for the long haul. Marketing, same thing. You should do it consistently every week. consistently, even same days, because what happens is for people to know that you're reliable, for people to know that you're going to be there for them through, as they say, thick and thin, often we have to demonstrate it. So I really think it's important for us to kind of be leaders, to be trailblazers, and to be role models in our business. And therefore, that means the actions that we take in our businesses have to show that we are here to stay and you are here to support your community long term.
I love what you said about really taking care of your existing customers and clients, because so often people look for new business instead of, like, it's right there if you nurture the people that you're working with.
Yes.
For example, when I have a new digital product come out and I've worked with a client consulting, for example, I will usually give that product to my client. I'll say, I so appreciate who you are. I just want to give this to you. Would you like it? I'm not going to just send it to them, but I'll ask them, would you like it? And 99.9% of the time, they're going to say yes, because they know it's high value information. But it's so interesting, the short-term thinking that some people have of, like, oh, I want to get that $10, that $50, that $500, instead of, what about a gift to your client who just spent $20,000 with you,
Yeah.
or whatever the price tag may be. And I actually had, when I launched a product recently, it's my directory for vegan podcast shows. It's 135 podcast shows that are specific to the vegan and the plant-based market. Very, very
Nice.
specific. And I had and it's doing quite well, I must say. And I
Good.
had a client who actually bought it. It's a $27 product, and this client has spent quite a bit of, invested a lot of money with me. And I saw her order come through, and I immediately went to the refund button and I refunded her money. And I wrote her and I said, what the heck are you doing? And that's how I talk to my clients. It's like, what in the world were you thinking, spending $27? I'm insulted. I would have given that to you as a gift. And she's like, well, I didn't want to overstep my boundaries. It's like, oh my gosh, no, that is not an overstep of boundaries. And occasionally too, it's like, we get paid based on consulting fees. It's like, that's
Yeah.
what you do. That's what I do. And occasionally a client that maybe they haven't done business with me for a while, they'll say, I have one question. Would it be okay if I asked you that one question? It's like, absolutely. It's like, I think that sometimes we place too much emphasis on getting money for everything we do, when it's really about building that relationship. It's about creating value. So I really liked what you said about that, because it's nurturing the people who have entrusted you with their business, with their knowledge base. And also, I really want to emphasize to people that most of the people that you see who are crushing it, if you will, we're out there, we're doing it, we're making a difference, we're seen everywhere. It didn't happen by chance, and it didn't happen by
Yes.
us just getting the free resources. I look at how much I've invested in my own development. And I had one coach that in a period of 2 years, I actually invested over 6 figures with this one person. And I have to tell you, the first time I made an investment with her, it was for a 4-hour VIP day. I flew to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, had to pay for my flight, hotel, the whole 9 yards, $15,800 for the 4-hour period. And it
Wow.
was based on a friend referring her and saying, this woman is a rock star. She can help you. So I bit the bullet. I was like, oh, this, and I have to tell you, my palms were sweaty. If you're not making decisions where your palms are sweaty, you're not making big enough decisions. And it's not that every time that comes in front of you, you should do it. But I thought, okay, I was kind of stuck in my business. I was doing well. We were doing, multiple 6 figures by that point. But I needed to up my game.
Yeah.
So I went, and we had a great session. And one thing, speaking of Ginger talking to people about their image, I was wearing business suits at the time. And she said, what in the world are you wearing business suits for? And I said, well, that's, I think I'm supposed to, because I was in corporate America. She goes, you look like a frumpy old grandmother. So I pay this woman all this money to tell me I look like a frumpy old grandmother. She goes,
that's a lot to swallow in the beginning, right?
Yeah. It's like, that was within like the first 5 minutes. And she said, you should be wearing Levi's. And at the time I was not vegan, so I was wearing a lot of leather boots, leather jackets. And she goes, I want you to have more of an edgy look, because you're more of an edgy kind of person. So I thought, okay, I'll bite the bullet with that. Did that. And made a difference in how I felt when I went on the platform. And I mean, I would go to corporate events as a speaker wearing jeans and boots, knee-high boots and a leather jacket, and people loved it. They loved it. And then, she actually gave me one strategy that here's the clincher on it. I applied it. I implemented the idea. Now, it's
Yeah.
amazing how many people hire a consultant, they buy a program, they get the information, and they never do anything with it. And they go, well, this
Yes.
doesn't work. Well, it's not that it doesn't work. You didn't work it. She gave me one idea. That one idea made me $50,000.
Nice.
$50,000. And so I immediately got my investment back, but I applied the information. So I encourage people, if you're thinking, should I make the investment? I have to tell you, we priced this quite seriously. I want to tell you, we kept
Hmm.
the price so low that it's affordable for anybody who seriously wants to learn from 11 experts. And if you were to get the brain power of all of us in a room and pay us what our consulting fees are, I can assure you it wouldn't be $47.
That
And,
is true.
and I remember one time I actually used to have a package. It was a year-long package, $27,000. And we used to do quite well with those.
Hmm.
And I had somebody, I said, it's 27. And somebody goes, $27? And I'm like, are you have just insulted me for a year of my time, 27. No, no, no. So I think we have to get really serious about what business is about. You have to make
Yes.
investments. One of the things that people say, what's one of the first things I should do when I set up my business? Get your DBA, learn all about the business side of things. We have an accountant, we do our books monthly, we pay quarterly taxes, we do all of that. And you have to treat your business like a business, because
Yes.
if you do, it will turn into a business. But you have to get the right coaching, you have to have the right systems, you have to have the right programs, database programs, for example. There are some people that are still manually trying to send out emails. It's like, oh, come on. No, 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 no. Learn the program, hire somebody like Sam who can help you to get it set up. So I'll get off my soapbox.
No, but I love it because I do think people don't realize that you have to put systems in place to run your business. You have to really commit to them, and you can't shy away from them because they feel stressful. Because it's like, oh, taxes stress me out personally. So what am I going to do in my business? I think we really have to push forward and either get an expert to help you get comfortable with it, or understand that this is a part of the learning process. This is part of doing something big. There is a learning curve to anything that is great. To get that greatness and to reach out and touch it, it takes effort. And definitely, you could do this one step at a time. You don't have to do everything within 24 hours. So, I don't want to stress people out because I want you to have a life and love your business at the same time. But it is so important that you get the work done, that you build a system, a process. I think it's so important. I talk a lot about this, and I'm really excited about. I'm looking at Sam's segment because I'm really curious how she helps people get things done. But coming up with a system for everyone to get the work done in the week is such a valuable piece of advice. I think a lot of people really approach their week as, okay, let's see what's going on. And they jump into email and they're in like this reactionary mode all week long, as opposed to saying, what's the priorities? What's important? And then I even tell people, figure out your give back strategy, figure out the free stuff you're going to do, but every week you have to work on something that drives sales. We can't
Right.
leave sales to, maybe it will happen, it will just come. You really have to work at it and work at it consistently. So you don't have to do it all at once. So you don't have to have this mad dash to make enough money. Your business should be consistent. So even if it's small in the beginning, you should be able to do you get one customer a week? Do you get five customers a month? Even though that may not be the big numbers, but consistency matters. And when you know how to get one customer a week, then you can figure out how to get 10 customers a week, 1,000 customers a week.
Right.
If you're, a more transactional based business, if you're a coach, 1,000 customers a week would be way too much.
Whew.
But the idea is building that system, that process, that consistency, just like we were talking about earlier on the marketing side is huge, but being able to also do it around your operations, around paying your taxes, and around creating a pipeline can also create a business that's less lumpy and doesn't compete as much with your personal life because it has a smooth flow that operates and allows you to consistently run your business with ease. And I think it's so important that we all find those stages in our businesses because they exist. Yes, there's times that things are bumpy, but you do have certain stages in your business where things will kind of smooth out and actually operate well. I don't know how you think about that because I say that because everyone thinks everything's a hustle and we got to get it done. And I got to stay up till midnight or I didn't sleep for the last 3 days. And I'm like, that's not
Right.
good.
Well, it's so interesting because with this summit, originally it was supposed to launch a few months ago, and in the middle of all this, I broke my wrist and got the scar to prove it. I'm the bionic woman now because I had to have surgery, and it was like right when we were getting ready to go into the phase of launching, I broke my wrist,
Mhm.
and it was like, wow, talk about coming to a standstill. And I
Mhm.
really had to work on my healing, so I put everything to the side, and I took a good month to just heal and to kind of process, oh, this is interesting. Why did this happen at this time? And then I realized sometimes stuff just happens. It's like sometimes there's no universal message. Other times there's a big universal message, but or universe message. But yeah, the whole thing of not having to work till midnight and all that. I have to say, with this summit, it's been kind of exciting because it reminds me of when I first started my business and we would do projects and launches and all that. We've put a lot of effort into this summit. I mean, there's been a lot of effort, but it's been exciting, but I couldn't go at this pace forever.
Yeah.
And, as I get older, there's things that are much more of a priority, like going on my morning runs, doing my morning meditation, taking time to, now I'm doing exercises for my wrist. That's all important. That's my morning protocol. And so I know that self-care is the most important part of running a business. And if we don't take time for ourselves, then we start resenting our business. So I really like what you said about that. And the whole idea of really looking at the process of the sales and how many sales do you want to make a week? How many, and what do you need to do in order to make that happen? And it's all about running numbers too, because I was talking with a client yesterday who they want to sell a certain type of product. And I said, okay, let's run the numbers on that. First of all, how big is your list? And it's a small list. We're working on building that. And I said, let's figure that if you had 1,000 people on your list, and out of that, on average, it depends on the size of the list, it depends on the market, you're going to have anywhere from 8% to 25% who will open the message. Because a lot of people think if I have 1,000 people on my list, 1,000 people will open it up. No, 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 no. You should be
Yes.
looking at your analytics, and you can do that on the back end of your database. But okay, let's figure on the high end, you have 25% who open it up. Well, out of the 25%, let's say the average sale is going to be 1 to 3% of that 25%. So you're looking for 1,000 people, you may get 2 sales. And she's
Yes.
like, wow, I didn't realize that. So you have to really understand what your numbers are instead of just saying, oh, I've got 1,000 people. That means 500 people are going to buy it. No, no, no. It doesn't work like that. Also, you want to look at what's called conversion funnels. And I do get into that in my session. I talk about conversion funnels, which you bring people into your community, if you will. And that's by way of something they opt in for. It might be through a live where you get them on your list and then you start nurturing them. And then you have a journey that you take them on, whether it be that they get something else that's complimentary or they get a low priced offer. And depending on your business would determine, do you give them a low priced offer or do you actually go for the high ticket item right away? It's all based on what your business model is and what you're trying to accomplish. But you must understand what a conversion funnel is. It doesn't mean that you have to be the one to implement it. That's why people like Sam, who she is a vegan who works with vegans. And I will tell you, I'll give a testimonial right now. She's great to work with. I hired
That's
her
wonderful.
probably about 6 weeks ago. She's a rock star. We have a call later today, and she's in the UK, and she's going to be talking in the evening while I'm talking in the morning. And she's very open to recommendations and suggestions. She makes suggestions. One of the things I love about working with her is she doesn't just let me call the shots. She says, well, have you considered this? And it's like,
That's right.
oh, no, I
That's
didn't.
helpful.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Because as an assistant, you're there to really assist with the success of a business. And, so as we get clients and we work with clients, we should be committed to their success. It's not just about what they're paying us. It's truly about, we want them to succeed, because the more they succeed, the more we succeed. So yeah, I really appreciate your perspective. And that's one of the reasons I wanted you to be a part of the summit, because you have a very down to earth, real, prosperous mindset of what it takes to run a business. I mean, I didn't pick the people lightly. I was very, very particular about who I wanted to join in this summit. And that's why I encourage people, if you're serious about growing your business and growing visibility, do yourself a favor and get the summit. And yes, it will be doing us a favor too. I'll be real transparent about that. I'm in business to make money. And it's so interesting when people say, oh, money's not important. It's like, really? Tell that to your mortgage lender,
Yeah.
Tell that
Yeah.
to your insurance company, tell that to your accountant. Money is important, but it shouldn't be the only basis of why you run a business. It's all about, we're on a mission here. As a
Absolutely.
vegan now, I mean, I when I first went plant-based, I called myself a plant-based eater. For 6 months, I wouldn't call myself a vegan because you vegans are crazy. And now my company is Vegan Visibility. Huh? What happened there? It's because I started learning the truth about what it means to be a vegan. I
Yes.
started learning the truth about what's happening out there in the marketplace and what we're doing to the earth, what we're doing to the animals. And I will get on a soapbox here for a minute, because I really want people to understand that our choices day by day impact our business, impact our communities, they impact our customers, and they impact the quality of life that not only we have, but other people in general have. So I encourage
Yes.
people, really look at what you're doing in business. Is your business just there to make money, or is it a mission? Is it a movement? Is it a message that you're putting out there? That will help you to hold on to the big why. Because if you forget the why, it starts becoming a burden.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can lose your way. And we want to make sure that, all your efforts, all your directions, and the way you're going can really get you to that success, as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
And one of the ways to do that is to not only make sure that you're very clear on your why, but also making sure that it's well documented. And also, I even tell people at times it should be visible. And we're talking about, vegan visibility, but I really feel like your why must be visible. It should be. Sometimes I put things on the wall. Sometimes I even tape things to my desk, because you want to have that constant reminder of what you're doing and why you're doing it, so you always stay on that path. So,
Absolutely.
Kathleen, it's been so great to have you today. We went a little longer than I normally go because we were just jamming and having such a good time. And I really
I
hope.
adore you. I have to say, if nothing else, just getting to know you and having the opportunity to share space with you and put our message out there, I just so appreciate what you're doing. And when I first started looking into transitioning my business, you were one of the people I looked to, and I saw what you had been doing. You'd been doing it for a long time. You've been, since 2009, I believe, you have been in the
Yes.
vegan space for business. You're way ahead of the curve, so thank you so much for your time today. And to everybody who has been watching live, I appreciate your time and your energy, and I encourage you, check out the summit. You won't be disappointed. You'll be over the moon excited because of the quality of modules and the bonuses and what comes next. I mean, we do have some big surprises planned. And so thank you, Stephanie. This has been delightful.
Oh, this has been wonderful. And for anyone, if you have any questions, I know we're going live at a different time. So some of you might be a little surprised to see today's segment, but I wanted to make sure that we got something out to you, especially since today is the last day to get that 50% off. But don't worry, if you watch this or see this after Thursday, you can still get access to this great summit. So I don't want you to miss out. I don't want you to sit on the sidelines, because this is just really such a great opportunity for our community. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. We'll take a look at it. We'll get it over to Kathleen if we need to. And also, just thank you for everyone who's watched this segment. It's so wonderful to spend some time talking with everyone, sharing our stories, sharing recommendations. So I even hope that you got something out of today's session. Maybe it was a little bit of inspiration. Maybe it was a little bit of a kick. If you've been sitting around on the sidelines and saying, should I get that done? Maybe today, between Kathleen and I, we've gotten you back into action, because I think it's so important that for all of us that are trying to drive this movement forward, that we take action on our beliefs, we take action on what we believe in. And I really feel like this summit is going to help you continue to do that. And I'm hoping today's segment was also a piece of that inspiration as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kathleen, as well. And
Thank
we're going to
you.
wrap up today's session. And I hope to see everyone in our next live session as well. Take care, everyone.